order, meeting of the District 208 Board of Education. Rise, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Nardi, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Durkin?
Here.
Ms. Gieska? Ms. Ruska? Ms. Hawk?
Here.
Mr. Novak?
Here.
Mr. Woodward?
Here.
And Ms. Davis?
Here. A quorum being present, the first order of business is to hold a public hearing concerning the proposed e-learning program. All persons desiring to be heard will have an opportunity to present written or oral testimony. Dr. Skinkis, Ms. Lindquist, would you mind giving us a quick summary
Yes, I'd like to
of the e-learning
ask
program?
Assistant Principal Kylie Lindquist to come up. This is an annual, or I shouldn't say triannual requirement that we have to do every 3 years. The board has already done this previously. It is under school code, though, that we have to renew our e-learning plan every 3 years and have a public hearing to discuss the generalities of the plan and if there's any public comment on the plan before the board decides to take action.
And there were no questions provided from members of the board. I think we all had this to read beforehand, but if you would mind giving us a summary, we'd appreciate
Yeah, of course.
it. Thanks.
So the district plan for e-learning that we submitted for board book is the same plan that we have been using. And so I want to highlight a couple of things that were really important to us in the creation of this plan. The first thing is we are providing students in the event of an emergency day with synchronous instruction. It was important for the district and for us to make sure that students do not have an interruption in their learning progression. Their learning can continue. So while it's not the length of a traditional class period, if students were in the building, it is reduced in some capacity with a bit of a later start. We do have synchronous instruction for all 7 classes with some opportunity at the end of the day for lunch and work time for students. We include in the plan expectations for students and expectations for teachers so that students know what to expect and so that teachers have an understanding that at minimum we want them synchronous for at least half of the time that we share. Sometimes teachers will offer students an opportunity to do some work as they might in the classroom, but the teacher is still there and can be a resource for the students throughout the duration of that period. Again, we really, when structuring this, tried to make sure that we weren't just giving students work, right? That it wasn't just something that was a time taker, but we wanted it to be meaningful instruction that continues the progression of a student's learning. So you will see throughout the learning plan, again, expectations for educators prior to the learning day, on the e-learning day, how to handle teacher absences, sort of covers the gamut. We also, at the very beginning of the plan, make sure that we note that part of school code is that students have the opportunity to access Wi-Fi. We do have a system at our school where we support students who do not have access to Wi-Fi by giving them an opportunity to get a hotspot from us. We also give some video instructions of how to use a phone as a hotspot and all of the different ways that we can troubleshoot. I think the other important thing in this e-learning plan are safeguards put in for students who maybe there's a power outage and maybe a student isn't able to access. So if there is something on one of those emergency days that precludes a student from being able to access, there are opportunities for that to be covered. Also included in this are educators, special educator expectations. So how special educators should communicate with students on their caseload and how they should be available to support. And we also give an opportunity for our ESPs to continue their support during an e-learning day as well. So again, it's not a deviation from previous years. What we have been able to put in place has worked for us over the course of the past few years and has met the expectations that we have for students to be able to continue learning even if there is a need to close the building.
Kyle, you'll be providing time to the teachers at the upcoming institute at the end of this week for
Yeah,
them
we have
to make sure
institute.
they have some ideas to set up their Zoom and
Yes.
some of their online links.
Yep, that's one of our agenda items at our Institute Day this year, just to make sure that there's some time for me to go through the plan again, reiterate some of those expectations, and then for teachers to have an opportunity to make sure that their plans are set up, that they know, new teachers know what's expected of them and know how to accomplish all the tasks that are expected. We will be covering that this Friday.
Thank you. Are there any questions from anyone on the board? Short of a global pandemic, Dr. Skinkis, can you indicate how we would know we would be moving to an e-learning day?
So historically, like on a bad weather day, I'm in conversation with local area superintendents, primarily the 3 feeder schools, but also LT and their feeders. The phone chain starts early, text chains, a lot of group calls. But the idea is to try to be ahead of the weather. If we see inclement weather, Dr. Freitas usually sends a message to the students, make sure they have their Chromebook at home and be checking the website. Sometimes I like to try to wait out to see, because obviously the weather can change. I think it was 2 years ago. I think it was Channel 5. I don't want to say the forecaster's name, but he was like, oh, this lake effect is coming directly through Brookfield. It could be 5 to 8 inches. So we kind of panicked, and we did a second e-learning day, and I think we maybe had flurries for about 10 minutes. So we try to hold off as long as we can until we get confirmation from a few weather service providers. We pay for a paid service as well, but that's typically how the decision is made. The other decision would be cold weather. We use typically around a -30 wind chill is what the National Weather Association uses as a dangerous temperature. So when wind chills get below -30, that's another possibility. And then obviously if there's any type of closure related to something unplanned, pipe break, something like something in the community that would not allow students to get to the school, have access to the school, or staff to get to the school, that would be the other reason. One other thing I wanted to think about with Kylie, I talked about this with, is in the future we're going to put this on the board operational calendar so that we do this in July, so that before the start of the school year, because everybody ties the e-learning plan to snow days or cold days, but
It could happen.
you could happen on the first week of school, and so it's good to have this. Now, we have 3 years from today from when the board approved it, but I think a better practice moving forward would be every 3 years, like in July, so that when the school year starts, it's already approved.
Okay. Any questions from anyone? Seeing none. Do we have any public comments on the proposed program related to e-learning, the e-learning program? Okay, in which case,
I'll just say, when we had those 100-year floods, that it would have come in handy. We always think e-learning in winter, but, it was September.
Right.
Was right on one of my daughter's birthday, and we had the 100-year flood, and the school was closed for a week. So just having them at the beginning,
it could happen at any time.
you
for
never
sure.
know. Right.
We also have built into the calendar 5
Right.
emergency days. So in a situation like that where, school shouldn't be run for multiple days synchronous, that at some point we would say, okay, we're going to do a traditional closed day, an emergency, we'll move graduation,
Yeah.
we'll move final. But
Okay. Thank you. So all persons desiring to be heard have been given an opportunity to present oral or written testimony with respect to the proposed program. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
The Board of Education, Township High School District 208, Cook County, Illinois, moves that the October 22nd, 2024 public hearing concerning the e-learning program be adjourned.
And we need a roll call on the adjournment of the public hearing. We'll vote to adopt the e-learning plan later in the agenda. I can see Ms. Locke looking at me.
I was confused.
Somebody want to second that?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Ms. Locke, and we do need a roll call, please.
Mr. Durkin?
Yes.
Ms. Ruska?
Yes.
Ms. Slack?
Yes.
Mr. Novak?
Yes.
Mr. Benoit?
Yes.
And Ms. Salis?
Yes. Okay, this is a adjournment of the hearing, and now we'll proceed to the regular board meeting. I don't believe we have any recognitions
no
this evening.
recognitions tonight.
Okay, so Student Association report, the SA. Good to see everyone.
Good evening. Thank you guys for having us tonight. I'm Caitlin, the Director of Communications.
I'm Lucy, the president.
And I'm Ellie, the student spokesperson.
So signups have begun for our blood drive that's going to be taking place next Tuesday, October 29th. Signups are in all lunches, and we've had a great turnout so far. We've had already 50 kids sign up, and that's just today. We have tomorrow with signups as well. And our goal this year is to get over 100 pints in this drive specifically, and obviously to carry that over into our other drives for the rest of the year. So, yeah, it's looking good so far.
All right, moving on, we're doing a new Halloween activity with our school. So yeah, this year we made these bulldogs in costumes. We're gonna be hiding these around the school, around 100, for students to find on Halloween Day.
Oh, they're in different costumes.
Yeah, we
Okay.
have a dinosaur, we have cupcakes,
Gotcha.
there's a witch, we have so many more options. But yeah, we're hiding them around the school so that on Halloween Day, students can find them. And then in exchange, they bring them to the office and they get a goodie bag and it has candies, pencils, and erasers. So yeah, it's just like something fun to do for Bulldog and Halloween spirit.
Cute.
And I know we talked about these the last time we were here with you all, but we also have our, annual fall and winter events coming up. We have the cards for the veterans going into the Fisher House. We have our Thanksgiving baskets for CSS and Brookfield. And then we have our Coat and Blanket Drive in mid-December in collaboration with Salvation Army. So our main goal in these coming weeks is, not only to publicize these events, but also just to ramp up participation. There was a letter sent out to all the staff encouraging them to get their classes, clubs, teams to participate so that we can not only, ramp up student participation in general, but get, a wide variety of students involved in our events.
And when we return from winter break, we're going to be hosting another pep rally because all of our students and staff seem to really enjoy it and it brings a lot of spirit. We're thinking it's going to be that second week back of second semester. We're just in the early stages of planning it and communicating with Mr. Mannon now to get gym space and all that, but we're really excited for it. Thanks so much for having us. Do you guys have any questions?
I have a question. When's the last day, or when you need your baskets, your Thanksgiving baskets by?
We don't have a set day yet. Typically, it's, that week right before, we'll usually deliver them that Monday or Tuesday before we go off for Thanksgiving break. So we don't have a set day yet of when we'll deliver, but we'll definitely make sure to get those.
Can we make sure we get a note
the
in the
day
Friday
too.
update? How about that?
Yeah, and then you have a card, right? Each basket comes with a gift card so they can buy
Yes.
the turkey. What is the amount of the gift card you typically put in there?
So in the past, we've done $20, but I think, again, we'll make sure to put this in
Just send it to me and I can forward it out.
Yeah, but I think this year we're gonna do 25 just because of,
Okay.
inflation and all that fun stuff.
All right.
Great. We look
Great
forward to the
job.
updates.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, we do have the 4 parent groups this evening. Let's start with the PTO. Ms. Lobby. And as a reminder to the audience and the board, this is part of board policy to have our parent groups provide a presentation annually and adhere to some parameters that are laid out in the policy regarding fundraising status and some other things. So without further ado, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Julie Lobby. I'm the president. My 7th year involved at the RBHS PTO. I've been vice president and president now the last 7 years. And you have the update in front of you. We have a similar board as last year. I'm the president. Michelle Mendoza is my VP of Communications. Heather DeForty is our VP of Membership. Patty Dosick is filling in as secretary because our secretary had to resign under emergency circumstances. And our treasurer is Lauren Caruso, and then Patty is also filling in as our parliamentarian. We're up to date on all the requirements that you've asked for. Today I forwarded to the office and to Kristen our updated insurance. We mailed it right before the first hurricane, and it gets mailed for PTO today. It gets actually mailed to the East Coast. So it took 5 weeks for us to actually get our certificate, but it's been renewed and forwarded to the office. So the updated one is now on file, even though we had a few weeks before it expired. You see our financial balance. When I wrote this, we were at $15,761. We have a few expenses. By the time those expenses are paid, will be about $12,000, and all the bills will have been paid for the year then. So it's just strictly being used towards the PTO grants and the various things that we do for the students, such as the exam packs, the final packs, which we'll do both in December and in April, May again. We're going to do them twice this year. I guess the biggest one is on our charitable contribution. We had a $25,000 donation last year from an anonymous donor. That donation has now been made indefinite until 2026 when Peter graduates. So we have indefinite support from this financial one, along it goes towards the students. That's the only thing. So we look forward to doing that. I think the biggest thing is our fundraising. We don't have as many days as the other parent organizations, so we really rely on residency. And so we've made a big push this year for it. We've done a lot. So one of the things we did was at Parents' Night, we came up with food bags like this, and we put a sticker on it with "Join the PTO," and we had a good response with that. So while parents were going in between classes or had a study hall, they clicked on it and they joined. And so that's just something that we're going to do moving forward during Parents' Night, and we'll have. So that was a big help. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. We had our community service day. We had over 100 again, 100 students. A lot of the sports teams were there. Did our teacher appreciation. We've awarded 2 grants already this year, one for a science field trip, which has taken place, and one that's going to be used for the Spanish heritage speakers. So we've had 2 grants already, and we look forward to doing more. And the last one is for our Veterans Day already. I was on the Veterans Day meeting with Dr. Freitas and the staff, and we're going back to pre-COVID, and we're providing a T-shirt for every veteran that will be here. And we'll actually have all 6 on there, including the U.S. Space Force. So they'll all have Navy T-shirts on the day of Veterans Day to wear during the assembly, and I'll give them to them at the breakfast.
Great.
Any questions?
Yeah, thank you for all that you do. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just a second page here. Mr. Monty, here to come next? Well, I was,
It's your retirement year. We want to.
Oh, man, thank you so much.
next year you can go first. How about that?
Next year I'm going to be on a beach somewhere.
I was hoping to catch that.
I'll be back for this. You can't say no. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so again, I'm Dave Monty of the Science Department. I'm the president of the RBF. This is my 4th year as president, 32 years of being a volunteer. And we have a new treasurer, Kathy Brush, of the Math and Special Ed Department. She is our new treasurer. And Mary Todd Hunter from the class of 71, who worked here for many years. She's still our secretary. I've attached our most recent financials, and so you can see them there. That was just approved a couple of weeks ago. We're always about a month behind with our board meetings with the financial report, but we have about $201,000 in various accounts. The RBF, for those of you that aren't familiar, so we're actually not a parent group. We're a community group. We don't have membership. But we were formed in 1987 as a way of raising money for educational opportunities because the district was not in good financial situation at the time. And so it was a bunch of community members that got together and formed. And then we had our first telethon that following year, and it won all kinds of awards. And so we've done the telethon on and off for about 30 years, and then with COVID, that stopped. And then we also oversee 4 memorial scholarships. Four memorial scholarships: Julie Morley, Bob Hegner, Otto Hawk, and Kristen First. And then we also oversee the Passarella Spirit Award. And we're probably going to take over the Semensky Scholarship because they've lost their nonprofit status because they're not doing any fundraising anymore. And so they've reached out to us about us taking over managing that money for that scholarship. So last year was the 4th year of our raffle. So the raffle was a new thing that we tried to do after COVID. It was our lowest year. We only sold 500 tickets. and we only raised about $8,000, so that was down about 25% from the year before. But we had a lot more donations from corporate sponsors, and so we still actually made, last year we made $16,600 for the whole year, and we also had several other little smaller events, and we still awarded over $18,000 in grants. So if you look at the 4-year total there, we've raised $56,000 in the last 4 years, and we've given out almost $62,000 in student grants. And so that's kind of been the philosophy. Every penny that comes in goes out. And so we've been very proud of that. Everything is up to date with our website, all the monthly meetings, everything's up there. We just redid our bylaws last year, and so that's up there. And our insurance, thanks to Mr. Durkin, a year and a half ago, we got our insurance in compliance, and so we've been very happy with that company. We meet the third Wednesday of every month. We used to meet the Monday, but there were some conflicts with music sponsors and other groups. So we're now meeting every Wednesday, or the third Wednesday of every month. And then for the future, so it's as the other groups can tell you, fundraising is hard right now, and so things have been difficult, and also getting people to volunteer and stand up and help has been difficult. And again, I've been doing this this is my 33rd year of being on the RBF, and it is my last year of being on the RBF. So we're working, trying to find new people to come in and take over that I can mentor and help with the transition. And so hopefully we'll find somebody for second semester that I can really work with and have them take over. We've got great people on the board, but everybody's pulled pretty thin, and so we need to find somebody that can take it over and run with it. And then the last thing for this year, we have our magic show coming up again. We did it for the first time last year, and it was a lot of fun. It was Trent James, who's an alum, class of 2015. So he's coming back on November 22nd. So we'll have the ticket sales pretty soon. Ms. Vitana in the business office is helping us sell tickets this time like we do for the musicals and plays. Last year we just did a Google Doc, and it was kind of crazy, and so that was very helpful to have a formal ticket where you request tickets, and then you can pay at the door, or you can pay via credit card. And then we're hoping to maybe do a talent show in the spring. We haven't done that in a couple years, and so we're hoping to maybe get that to work. But the auditorium and the little theater, it's really hard to get those two facilities because everybody wants them. So we're trying to do our best with that. And then for next year, we were trying to, we have a couple runners on the board, and they suggested maybe doing a 5K that could raise some money. And so we're in preliminary talks with the zoo, because the zoo does 3 big 5Ks a year. The costs are not really doable right now, but we're trying to see if we can find some more sponsors that would help alleviate some of those costs, because there's a lot of upfront fees, and we don't have that kind of money. All our money is tied up in the scholarship grants and things. So, and then again, we are just concerned about where we're going to be in the future. So,
Thank you. Thank you for all you do. Any questions from anyone?
Did you, what about doing the 5K, like through Brookfield, through some of our paths?
So we have talked to Bill Shernow. He's the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and he has a company that does. He works for the zoo for their 3 races. He does the turkey trot in LaGrange, and so we're working with him to see. But again, the village they have upfront costs in terms of closing streets and extra security and police officers. So we're working with him as well. And he will probably be, if we get it to work, he will be the team. It's called a team management group. He'll be the one that we'll hire because that's his career. He does that for his career. So. And we're hopeful, we'll keep our fingers crossed that something happens.
Good luck. I'll walk it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not committing to it.
I'm done running, so I'll definitely walk it.
Thank
so.
you, David.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you for your decades of service.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Music sponsors, you guys want to be next?
Sure, on copies, but here you can, here's one that's not stapled.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll do my best to stick to the highlights rather than reading the entire 3 pages.
Okay.
It's kind of long. We got excited.
Thank you.
Okay, so hello, I think y'all know me. I'm Liz Bushio. I got a junior here, and this is my first year on the board for music sponsors. For the 24-25 school year, our board consists of Lisa Janunis, who just passed out the packets, as our president, co-vice presidents of music, Ann Kissel and Kelly Farbach, vice presidents of theater, Amy Moran and Sarah Clark, our treasurer, Kirsten Bell, co-secretaries, myself and Maggie White, and our vice presidents at large are Michelle Plaja Olson and Naomi, I'm going to get this wrong, Celepis. Sorry, the right accent's wrong. Okay. Our current membership is 138 members representing 103 students, and our membership is open to the entire community, not just RB. If someone outside the community wanted to be a member of sponsors, they could be a member of sponsors. We have a public website, which is rbhsmusicandtheater.org. And our meeting agenda and minutes, and our 501c3 status, and our financials are all up to date. They're all on the website.
Perfect.
Our certificate of insurance currently needs to be reissued because we also use PTO today, and there was an issue with the name on it. So they are in the process of reissuing that for us. Our financials for the 23-24 school year, our starting balance was $1,872, and our ending balance was $8,114. We restructured our budget to support both theater and music programs. And in addition, we allocated funding to support our Future Bulldog initiative, music and theater advocacy, and volunteer appreciation. And we've increased our income significantly through new seasonal sponsorship opportunities, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So some of our major accomplishments, we did another Labor Day potluck like we did in 2022, and we are hoping to have that be something we continue annually. Pat Williams and Kara Kesselring usually host that for us, and it's a really great opportunity to kick off the school year with a lot of music and a lot of student performances. We've brought a lot of new parents into the fold through outreach and a concerted effort to have music sponsors present at all of the musical performance and all of our events. We've also done a good job increasing our pool of volunteers and helpers on hand. And we've put succession plans into place. So you'll see we've got these co-vice presidents for everything, co-secretaries. My son's a junior, Maggie's son's a senior. So as she moves on, I shadow with her, learn the ropes, do it next year. I'll have someone shadow me, and so on, so that we have succession plans moving forward so we don't lose momentum in the years to come, excuse me. Let's see, we've reignited the connection between RB and the feeder schools, one of the things that had been recommended to us, and we definitely took that to heart. We've been hosting Hauser, SC Groves, Comaric, and Washington Junior High at choir fairs. And the event is called Feeder School Choir Festival, and then we had a reception with it. It was wildly successful, and I think it's the reason choir numbers really increased for this school year, because all these middle schoolers came in and had a day with the choirs and had a great time. Likewise, we've done the same thing with a feeder school night for marching band. We haven't been able to do that since COVID. So the kids from the middle school get on the band field with the students, and they get to participate and get really excited about band, and then hopefully the next year they come in and they join band. In January, we held our first Future Bulldog Information webinar. And that was providing incoming freshmen and their parents an opportunity to have their questions answered about enrolling in music classes and how to juggle multiple electives without sacrificing their academics. In terms of fundraising, we've started something called like a seasonal business sponsorship. So rather than going to businesses for each event, each play, the holiday show, and the musical, they become a sponsor for the year, and their ad will be in each one. It's a higher price point, but we found it like really popular, and we're able to raise over $4,000 that way. And so then we structured our summer grants into 2 tiers this past year. $500 for summer workshops or camp, and $250 for private lessons. And we were able to award over $8,000 to 22 students for summer continuing education in that way. And moving on to some improvements and ongoing or new challenges. We first of all want to thank Dr. Freitas, who's not here tonight, but he attended nearly every sponsors meeting, listened to our concerns, answered our questions, updated us on school activities, and we really appreciated that input from him. And also want to extend our appreciation to Kylie Fletcher. I know she's around here somewhere. She's been extremely helpful in sharing our posts and helping spread the word about music and theater events. We really do appreciate that. Last year, they started a fine arts signing ceremony. It was a welcome addition to get the word out there about just how many students are moving into fine arts and applied arts. We also held a teacher summit last year where we brought music educators together from all the feeder schools, not just the parents, but the educators together at the Choo Choo with our RB teachers as well to talk through just what classes they're offering, what classes are offered at the high school, and how we can support them in building their music programs and then transitioning those kids into music at RB. In terms of course selection, we do appreciate the counselors informing students that, especially those that want to enroll in multiple classes, how to go about doing that. But last year we experienced challenges in this area and got feedback from parents and teachers and students that they weren't able to enroll in the Bulldog Buddy Choir last year. And general population students were told by their counselor, it's probably not going to run, you need to pick something else. And the special education families were unaware that the option even existed. So we're really hoping that moving forward, especially with the new system that's been put in, that these problems will be alleviated. And then with music theory, this course has traditionally been listed as every other year in the curriculum guide, but it's a capstone course, and if it's only offered every other year, it forces students like my son to try to fit it into a crowded junior year, which he could not do, because he's in an off year, his senior year, when he can fit it in. We have 20 students taking AP Music Theory this year. We talked to a lot of our parents, and we've got at least 22 students interested in taking it next year. And it's our understanding that it's actually available for registration for next year. So we're really encouraged by that and hoping that kids will register for it and then it will actually be able to run next year and every year in the future like every other capstone course runs at the school. And finally, which I know you guys know about this, but I'm going to say it anyway, we had a public awareness campaign last year where we collected signatures of over 2,600 people in the community in support of 3 full-time teachers within the district. Our presentations garnered quite a bit of public support, but it seemed that the board and the administration weren't really willing to move forward with those conversations. We are hoping that with the increased enrollment this year and next year that we can move forward and have a fully staffed music department of 3 full-time teachers. And that's it. Any questions?
Any questions from anyone on the board? No, thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, the athletic boosters. I think you guys went first last year, which is why I flipped you over. I was trying to.
Mixing it up. I'll go ahead and jump right in.
Thank you.
My name is Jenny Royer. I have 2019 and 2023 graduates of RB, Elliot and Sam, and my daughter Amelia is currently a junior. This is my 3rd year as president of Sports Boosters. Julie Novak was the one handing out the the report, and she is serving in her 2nd year as vice president. Our other officers for this school year include another vice president, Aaron Lenahan. He was a heavily recruited father onto the Sports Boosters board, so he has seniors, so he's only going to be serving this 1 year, but we're very happy to have him. Michelle Ruska is in at least her 3rd year as Boosters treasurer, and we have a new secretary this year, Stacy Doyle. And everybody's been, working really hard to keep things moving. I'm going to just go through the checklist and also hit some highlights from last year. So our financial, a summary of our financial activities is in the appendix for the activities that happened last year. And then in addition to that, like always, every month we post our monthly bank statements and any financial activity. Current booster balance is about $40,000, and we've got a pretty good start to fundraising so far this year, but it will be hard to compare to what it was last year. So. Also, just want to publicly state that as required by policy, we maintain a public website. It's www.rbsportsboosters.com. And on that website, we're posting all of our minutes, the financials. We also post a really nice document archive with our annual reports. You can access our Sign Up Genius there. And we also have there our, proof of our tax exemption status and certificate of insurance. In terms of major accomplishments, I'm just going to hit some highlights in the report that you have. So it was, in terms of fundraising, last school year was a really banner year for us. So we were well set up to do a couple of pretty large financial donations. Dr. Skinkis had reached out about what boosters could potentially contribute to the weight room, and that project was going to be about $25,000. And Boosters was fortunately in the financial position to say, you know what, we will happily do the entire thing. So actually, don't think that you said something for a few seconds. Maybe like, oh,
Caught me off guard. I was
yes.
like, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was good. And then again, to keep in line with with what we're trying to accomplish in terms of fundraising and being a tax-exempt organization, we also set aside $15,000 with Dr. Skinkis' help as the start to fund video scoreboards at both the outdoor, indoor spaces. So the gymnasium and the stadium. And I'll just, because this is, going into the record, I'll state that a big motivation for booster parents for that was how amazing RBTV is. And they work, these kids are amazing. The program is amazing. They make these amazing hype videos. It would be really cool if someday those were playing up on the big screen. So that was part of the motivation for that. Other things I just want to flag from the report, I do want to give a big thank you to Kylie Fletcher. If anything we ask her, she helps with, and it's really very appreciated.
She's getting a shout out.
Is she blushing yet? She has helped us, so she's been willing to support you guys know that big screen at indoor concessions, that's the Touch Pro screen. So, she's taken on some of the management of that. She helps us with, we've been trying to do more Spanish language communications, like have it both English and Spanish. She's been helping with that. Really anything we've asked of her, she's not hesitated at all to help, so she deserves that shout out. Boosters was also pleased to give $6,000 in scholarships to graduating seniors this year, 8 total. And I also want to give a shout out to our 2 Booster of the Year members. One of them sitting next to me. Julie Novak. She's basically like a one-woman concessions machine. Our profit in concessions last profit was $43,000. So she's there all the time. She really challenged us to, try different product. It's like, I know it maybe doesn't sound like super exciting, but the kids, they respond to like, oh, I get to have Arizona iced tea and not just, bottled water. I really think it made a difference. And it was a lot of extra work on her part. Yes. I mean, like weird, like nerd candy, like all this kind of stuff that like was, it's extra work to go get that, like that broad of a slate of products.
The breakfast sandwiches. People love the breakfast sandwiches, right?
But Julie's done a great job. I also want to give a thank you to our new athletic director, Phil, we've had a really great start with. He made himself really available over the summer. I had some pre-meetings with him. He was very open to ideas, brought ideas of his own. And a big thing that he's put in place that's going to be really important for boosters moving forward is he's basically going to work with the coaches at the beginning of every school year to basically plan out all uniform requests. He's charting it out years in advance so that we understand the rotation. This is something that we were never able to do. We had formalized it with the coaches by requiring them to fill an online form, but we never knew when that request was coming. So this is a huge improvement and really helps with our budgeting purposes. And then the last thing that I'll flag is that a new activity for boosters this year that we're kind of excited about. We've just started conversations with Dave Mannon to get some kids from the student leadership group to serve as booster ambassadors. So this is part of the booster effort to hear the student perspective, the student athlete perspective as well, and they would share coverage at our monthly booster meetings.
Great idea.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
No, thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
awesome.
And thank you again for that large donation.
Yes.
It's been very helpful.
happy
The sign has been put up, so thank you.
Oh, yeah, I should have said thank you for that too, so yeah.
Thank you very much.
I tell my kids all the time that volunteers make the world go round, so thank you to everyone.
Thank
Because
you,
you're all
everybody.
volunteering your time. Thank you. Did I skip?
President's report? No?
No.
You're good.
Yep. Superintendent's report, that's you, sir.
All right, superintendent's report. I know our parents groups are walking out, so if just 1 second on my last bullet, I just wanted to take a minute. On my last bullet of my report, I wanted to take a minute to recognize Kylie Fletcher. I have the privilege of having 2 great Kylies. I don't want to leave you out because you're hearing Kylie Fletcher. I have 2 great Kylies on my team, but Kylie Fletcher has done a great job with the initiatives to improve our communications and stakeholder engagement, as you heard tonight from several of our parent groups. I also encourage you, as you're walking out, there's hard copies of the newsletter. This was also sent home. The quarterly newsletter, the weekly Positive Prides, the social media presence. So Kylie, I just wanted to make sure that as a superintendent, the board can hear that you're knocking it out of the park in regards to the communications goals. So keep it up. Okay? And parents, if you want to sneak out, now's a good time. Thank you for your time. East Gym, the East Gym floor is bowing in a few sections. I've been trying to include this in the board's updates. We had some issues with moisture accumulation under the floor over time. We've had some air handling unit issues and leaks periodically in that facility. So we are in the process of securing quotes to repair or replace the East Gym floor. We also have submitted an insurance inquiry to see if that would be covered by insurance. We have gotten some updates. Dr. Smetana will provide more details during her report. The auditor is scheduled to present at the November board meeting. The audit report is included in tonight's packet. Solar panels. So we do have an update on solar panels. You saw this in your Friday update, but Dr. Smetana will provide more details tonight. However, we've hit a little snag with our contract negotiations and some of the requests we had and for some of the things that were listed in the proposal. So there's a good chance we're going to need to go back out with a new proposal so that can cover all the things we're looking for. But again, Dr. Smetana will go into more detail in her report. Culinary lab. The board members that came early tonight got an opportunity to see a culinary lab. It is just about finished. We still have to do punch list items and some final setup and equipment testing. But we are at a point to where the lab space will be able to be used by classes before the end of this semester. Q1 newsletter I just covered. Facilities advisory, there will be an advisory council meeting scheduled before the December meeting. We'll touch on solar. We'll have an East Gym update. And we'll also do our normal quality business review with Aramark. Finance advisory is being, I think Mary Ann scheduled that before the November board meeting so that we can review the audit and the levy. And Policy Council met on October 15th to review the most recent plus. Those updates are included in tonight's packet, and I'll cover them in more detail when we get on the agenda, to that agenda item. And that summarizes my report for tonight.
Any questions or comments from anyone? No? Okay. Dr. Smetana, you were deferred to a lot in the last report.
Yes, I am prepared. Good evening. Tonight I'll provide the board with financial information through the month of September, which is hard to believe that's a quarter of our fiscal year already. So I'll start with our monthly summary report. The total operating revenue for the month was $951,474, with 63% coming from registration fees, 32% coming from evidence-based funding, and 4% coming from local fees. The total operating expenditures for the month were $2,646,247, with 73% towards salary and benefits and 16% towards operations and maintenance. Primarily, this was the culinary lab expenses. We couldn't, once we received our bond proceeds in October, we were able to transfer that to the Capital Projects Fund. On the monthly financial summary, you'll see the summary of revenue shows that the district has received 36.9% of our budgeted revenue for the year. This amount is significantly higher than last year of 6.8% due to the timing of property tax. 1 year, I promise it will be the same from year to year in terms of timing, so it's not a constant recurring theme. The summary of expenditures shows that the district has spent 25.97% of the budgeted expenditures for the year, and this amount is a little lower than last fiscal year, 29.8. As always, I included the statement of revenue and expenditures for board accounts for the month of September, as well as activity accounts. There was a question submitted about closing inactive activity accounts. The business office periodically reviews inactive accounts and moves the money to a general activity account. There's not a hard and set fast rule because for some it makes sense to keep open more than a year to see if there's going to be activity the following year. It's easier to keep it open and see if there's activity than to close it prematurely. But we will be reviewing the inactive accounts this year and closing the ones that clearly are no longer being utilized. For class funds, that usually goes to like the senior or junior class, whichever needs money, especially for planning
like a pay
for
it
prom.
forward type of thing.
Correct. Yeah. I have a few reports tonight in addition to my normal reports. The first is the paid quarterly building rental report. I attached the first quarter rental report, which is July through September of 2024. The surplus for this quarter was $12,253.75. This amount is significantly higher from this time last year, which was around $4,500, but $12,000 is more typical. So it's all about timing due to when we receive payments. So there was a request submitted about adding outstanding accounts to this report. I apologize. I think I misunderstood the previous request, but it'll be added moving forward so that the board can see what is outstanding from previous quarters.
Thank you.
I had my first Township Treasurer Board meeting today, so I couldn't include the slides because it happened today, but I'll provide an update in more detail in November. I'll provide the PowerPoint that we went over in the meeting, but it was very informative, and it's nice because with the exception of District 209, that all are business managers that are there, so it's another good opportunity for all of us to kind of get together and talk about things outside of the board meeting that we want to bounce off of other
209 send then? They didn't send a business manager?
Board member.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah. And then the next item is the school maintenance grant. So I didn't provide any documentation yet, but for the past several years, Illinois has been able to offer the school maintenance grant. This is a grant that needs board approval, so I'll bring it to the board for a first read in November and then ask the board for approval in December. But as a refresher, the grant is a dollar-for-dollar matching program providing awards for up to $50,000 for school districts exclusively for the maintenance and upkeep of buildings and structures for educational purposes. We are required to provide a matching amount. So we're in the process of identifying projects, and like I said, I'll bring a first read in November, but ideas include updating the weight room floor. It's in pretty bad shape. Potentially linking hallway doors to the fire panels. It's something that we need to do, but how quickly that turnaround is going to be, I don't know if we'll have that in time to submit for the grant. Replacing the diving board and stand was something that was on the list this year, as well as starting blocks in the pool. We tried to pull that off last fiscal year, but we needed to hit pause on that and investigate, make sure we were doing the installation properly. So those are the projects that we are thinking about including in the grant. Another example would have been the band room carpet. We're replacing that this Thursday and Friday. This project is around $25,000, but due to the timing, it wasn't an option for the grant, but we are replacing the carpet as well in there. And then
You're looking to get that school maintenance grant approved by the board in November? At the November
I do have
meeting?
enough time that I do have enough time. The deadline is after the board meeting in December.
Okay, so you could
so
have
we
two
can
reads.
do 2 reads.
Okay.
And is there a facility advisory council meeting before the November board, or you'd have to schedule that?
Facility is going to be,
We were
we're going to try to do
trying
it
to-
before December, just
Okay.
because then we'll have a clearer path on solar and East Gym.
Okay. So I think it'd be helpful to have the administration's recommendation in November, and then the facility advisory can add any input, right? And then we can approve in December. Does that seem right to everybody?
Yeah. So the floor, the gym that we have to repair, wouldn't that also qualify for that grant?
No, so that's my next item. So I will get to that. So as Dr. Skinka said, we had some water damage that we believe caused the buckling and bowing. We did file an insurance claim, and we were notified that the repair was covered. So I did receive 3 quotes, and I'm going with the lowest quote for the repair, which is consolidated flooring. It's approximately $47,375, so it's below the bid threshold. And it was significantly lower than the other 2. So we're hopeful the work will be completed by December 1st. So
That's
we
well in
can't,
advance of the
right, so
grant.
we can't submit it for the grant for 2 reasons. One, it's being covered by insurance. We'll actually have the full amount be covered by insurance. But 2, it also will be completed before we have to submit the grant. We can't start any of the projects until the grant is approved.
What's our deductible again?
$25,000. And then I'll have a concrete update at the next meeting once the materials ship. I'll have a concrete timeline for when that project will be completed. We're hopeful from our initial conversation with the company that we'll be able to get the floor done by December 1st so we can get back into the East Gym. I will save solar for I assume the line item under old business.
Correct.
Okay, that concludes my report.
Any more questions or comments from anyone? Not seeing any, thank you very much. Student Advisors Report.
All right, thank you, Honorable Board. Thank you for your time. You guys are having a great evening. So
What
today
page are we on, just real quick so I can?
40. 40.
I can't see that, you can see that. Thank you, I apologize.
No problem, no problem. All right, so to begin with teaching and learning. So in October, on the 24th, which is this Thursday, we have parent-teacher conferences. So this will be from 12 to 4 or 5 to 8 p.m. And this will be virtual, so parents can sign up through Skyward and be able to meet with their students' teachers, just ask about how they're doing, how quarter one went, and things like that, and things to prepare them maybe for semester 2, for final exams, and for the future. So that's going to be the 24th. As well, the 30th of October is going to be the practice ACT for juniors. So this time will be about 7:30 in the morning, so students are expected to come in a little bit earlier than the start time. And then this will be in the field house in the East Gym, so students are expected to bring their Chromebooks, a charger if needed, and to be prepared for the ACT that they're going to be taking in the spring. And then moving on to school culture and operations. So in November, from the 27th to the 29th will be fall break or Thanksgiving break, so just a nice break to spend with family, things like that. For activities and athletics, so for October, the 14th through 18th, which was last week, was our Fine Arts Week. So many classes, clubs were able to do many different activities throughout the week for Fine Arts Week, and to kind of to show off, things that they've been doing in class and throughout the school day. So for example, in the morning through the 14th and 18th, so they had karaoke and dance lessons around 7:15 in the art pit. So as soon as you get into school, you had the music playing and everything, and so you had students who decided to get here early who were able to, listen to music, dance for a bit before classes start. As well, on the 15th, there was the jazz musician and comic book author presentation. That was about 9:55 a.m., and that was in the auditorium. As well, the 16th, there was an animator and designer available for students, so that started about 8:55 a.m., and that was also in the auditorium. The Fine Arts and Performance presentation, so that was from 8 a.m. to 3:55 on the 17th, and this location was in the main gym. As well, Fine Arts and Performance Arts admissions presentation. So this was at 6 to 7:30 p.m., and this was virtual for students and parents as well. And then finally, the rock band performances. So this took place on Friday, the 18th, and this was for all lunches, so through lunch 4 and then 5E. And this was in the cafeteria, so that way students who were enjoying their lunch were also able to listen to the rock band students and what they were doing for their final project for quarter one.
Okay.
And then finally, moving on to October, November, so winter sports registration was open on Tuesday, October 8th. So any students who are looking to do different, winter sports were able to sign up through there.
When does that close?
I believe all I know is that it opened October 8th, so I'm not sure when it closes, but
Okay.
I assume sometime around November.
I imagine parents can look at the athletic calendar and find out, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the IHSA season kicks off on November 11th for most sports, so.
Yes. And then that concludes my report.
So students that are in a fall sport, they can sign up while they're in their fall sport for the winter then?
Yeah.
Okay.
They should.
I'll begin my report. Good evening, Honorable Board. I'll start off with teaching and learning for tonight. So for the month of November, we will have 3 different placement tests for 3 of our feeder schools here. And that includes SC Gross, Camargue, and Hauser. On the 12th, the placement tests for Gross will occur, 13th Camargue, 14th Hauser, and we're looking forward to welcoming RB's class of 2030.
Oh my goodness, say that again.
2030, class of 2030.
Wow.
Okay then, back to you.
Moving on to my second point for school culture and operation. In the month of October, on the 17th, girls volleyball had their senior night. This occurred at 6 p.m. in the main gym, and we're wishing them luck on the rest of their season. On the 18th, Girl Up had a big sale, and that occurred through lunches 4 through 5E, and that was in the cafeteria, and they raised a total of $349 to support to support our cause for breast cancer baskets, since the month of October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. On the 23rd, the fall band and orchestra concert will occur, and that will begin at 7 p.m. and in the auditorium. And we're looking forward to seeing all of their hard work in tomorrow's performance. And through the 29th to the 31st, on National Honor Society, NHS will have their fall bake sale that will occur through lunches 4 through 5E in the cafeteria. And all proceeds will go to support the Share Food, Share Love food pantry in Brookfield. Moving on to November, on the 5th, it will be election day, a non-attendance day, and we encourage all our students and staff to vote. On the 11th, there will be a Veterans Day ceremony that will begin at 8:30 a.m. through 10:45 a.m. and that will be in the main gym. On the 12th, there will be a college planning tips for freshmen presentation, and that will begin at between 6 to 7 p.m. and that will occur in the Little Theater. Now moving on to my third point for activities and athletics in November. From the 14th to the 17th, there will be the fall play, Shakespeare in Love. The times for that will occur between Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7 p.m. and conclude on Sunday at 2 p.m. And the location for this will be at the auditorium. Costs vary, $10 for adults and $5 for students and senior citizens. And that concludes my report.
That might be the most densely packed 3-week period of our calendar, so thank you both for going through all that. Any questions or comments? We're good?
Thank you.
This is the board goal update. I think we're having a longer discussion on district goals at the next meeting.
Dr. Freitas will be covering the DELT goals for the Equity Action Plan.
Okay.
So the other goals, there's no changes to the other goals or updates at this time.
Okay. Any comment or feedback on those at this point then? Then we can move on. We do have the first read of the audit. Is there anything to comment on that, or should we?
Yes, I would encourage the board, as you're looking at the audit, to focus on the management's discussion and analysis, which is on page 4 through 10 of the audit. And then if you have any questions prior to our auditor coming in November, to submit those in advance so that I can forward them along to Chris, who's our auditor, who will be at the next board meeting to answer any questions.
And he's also attending the next Finance Advisory Council as well, correct? So, okay. But I think in general, I didn't look at it thoroughly, but I think it's a good audit, and we can wait for his full report on that. So that was a first read. Visitor comments. I don't think we have any visitors left here this evening, so we're going to move forward. Any additional discussion items from Board of Education members?
For this meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, I just got a brief, our West Cook meeting's coming up.
Okay, do you have a date? Do you want to just share it?
Yeah.
Let's just talk about it right now if you'd like.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's the 29th. It's the Tuesday, because it's a 5th Tuesday. And so what they were encouraged to do, sorry, I'm trying to pull up the detail. They're going to have the different legislators that are in our West Cook 40 area. And anybody that has questions, they're supposed to come and be able to take questions and be able to answer things that are going on in the different districts. So we might want to think about some questions. If anybody wants to go, that there'll be a dinner and we'll attend that.
So next Tuesday?
The 29th, October, yeah.
Okay. So I think we all would have gotten an email on that, but maybe could you forward it again, Dr. Skinkis? Would you mind including it in our Friday packet, just so everyone has it at the ready?
Yeah.
Laura, you're
Thank
our
you.
rep for that, right? That's
Yeah.
IASB. Are you planning on attending?
Yes, well, yes, so
So
I
if you
gotta
want
make
to
sure
send your questions to me or to Laura.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Seeing none, we do have a couple of items for consent agenda. I didn't see anything additional, so if we can go ahead and move forward on those, please.
Board of Education, Township High School District 208, Cook County, Illinois, takes the following action on the listed consent agenda items. Approves proposed course fees 2025-2026 school year, out-of-state and/or overnight field trips 2024-2025 school year. Theater, the Illinois Theater Fest, University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, January 9th through the 11th, 2025. And Ski and Snowboard Club, Chestnut Mountain, Galena, Illinois, December 21st, 2024. Devil's Head Resort, Merrimack, Wisconsin, January 19th, 2025. Wilmot Mountain, Wilmot, Wisconsin, February 9th, 2025, as presented in the October 22nd, 2024 Board Agenda Packet.
Second. And a second from Ms. Luck, and we need a roll call, please.
Mr. Durkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Ruska?
Yes.
Ms. Luck?
Yes.
Mr. Novak?
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds?
Yes.
And Ms. Zinn?
Yes. Okay, moving on to old business, we have life safety items, capital improvement, sustainability, including the solar panels. Back to you, Dr. Smetana.
So as Dr. Skinkis alluded, unfortunately, we had to stop negotiating a contract with Verde Energy due to some missing pieces that should have been written into the RFP. In order to be in compliance, our attorney felt we needed to have certain requirements in the contract, and Verde Energy couldn't agree to them because they were missing from the RFP. So as a result, the cleanest thing to do and the best path forward for the district is to start the process over with a new third-party consultant and reissue the RFP. So at the next board meeting, I will have a contract for the board's approval for a new consultant. This consultant, his name is Mark Pruitt. He's an adjunct professor with Northwestern's Master of Science in Energy and Sustainability program. He has more than 25 years of experience in the energy commodity supply and efficiency markets. He assists organizations with energy planning, project evaluation, procurement processes, and contract negotiations. He served as the first director of the Illinois Power Agency, where he secured electricity supply on behalf of approximately 4.7 million residential and small commercial accounts serviced by ComEd and Emera in Illinois. And some of his past clients include Argonne National Lab, City of Chicago, the Clean Energy Trust, an Illinois Municipal Electric Agency, Midwest Renewable Energy Association. So I'll provide his resume at the next board meeting along with the consultant's contract, but I would be asking for the board for approval on the first read. The contract that we are using for the consultant is a standard contract that we received from our attorney. So it should be pretty easy and there shouldn't be a lot of back and forth.
Dr. Smetana, so there's no action sheet in here tonight for the
Correct.
solar panels, but we should have some things in writing that we're no longer moving forward with NANIA and we're reposting the RFP. Though I kind of spoke to it in my report, I think it should be just somewhere in the record. So when you submit Mr. Pruitt's recommendation in November, let's dedicate a paragraph in your action sheet to,
I'll provide the same background I provided to you.
Correct. So we're no longer moving forward with NANIA. We've broken off. We've done this. We've submitted a formal terminated agreement.
Contract, correct.
And there was no loss of fees related to NANIA.
Correct.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure that we're all clear on that. And I think obviously this impacts the timeline. So if you could maybe include that in your write-up in terms of what you anticipate I know it's a little speculative,
Yes.
but I think just so that there's a general understanding of, because now you've got to rebid. And I should have started by saying I think procurement compliance is really important. So I think we're doing the right thing. I just think it's a bit of a hiccup in the road, but this will set us on a good path moving forward, I think.
How did this play with we have our construction manager? So did our construction manager recognize some of these deficits or?
I would say the hiccup in the process is, and this in the past hasn't been necessarily our protocol, but the district's legal counsel reviewed the RFP, the contract with NANIA, the third party, which referenced the RFP and referenced following Illinois procurement laws, but our attorney did not review the actual RFP. And if that had happened, maybe we would have been able to catch some of these things in advance. But at this point, we feel it's just cleaner to start over.
But it wasn't a construction management issue.
So when we were negotiating the contract with Verde, the attorney's like, well, we would want this type of insurance. We would want this type of guarantee.
Okay.
We would want. And Verde pushed back to say, well, that wasn't in the RFP. That wasn't in the RFP. Therefore, our price would have been possibly different if we included all these.
So it didn't even get to where Nicholas Associates were looking at it and
Correct.
all that. Okay.
So I think it's a good idea to have a paragraph on the recommendation sheet so we know how we got to this change. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much. And I think any questions, then if we could get those beforehand so we can move forward as expeditiously as possible at the next meeting. This is a bit of a hiccup, but I think it's, I appreciate you focusing on it and moving forward. Anything else on that you want to bring up, Dr. Skinkis? No? Okay, new business. We'd had the hearing earlier this evening on the e-learning
Oh, you gotta go press
plan.
policy.
Oh, I apologize. Did I skip that?
So the press packet
Yeah,
was
thank you.
submitted in your packet tonight. It was a short packet. I believe there's like 5 or 6. Ms. Gaska and Ms. Locke met with me last week. We reviewed the packet. A lot of this is in response to some of the federal updates to Title IX. As you see in your packet, Policy 2:265 was reviewed and amended by our legal counsel. So any of those changes are highlighted in red of what they're recommending. We went through that policy change by change, and all 3 of us were in line with what the attorney was suggesting or recommending. So this has been in your packet. This is the first time you're seeing the attorney copy, but the other policy packet has been in there for a few reads. There's no other changes. Basically, a lot of the few other policies that are being changed are just citing the new 2:265 Title IX language. So we can either approve this tonight or put it into consent at November.
So Carolyn, did you notice, was there anything that was alarming to you or?
No, it was pretty
It
straightforward.
was changing words to
Yeah.
fit today's
Yeah, very minor.
things.
Yeah, these are pretty modest. So how do
Even
we
with the
want to proceed?
Title IX stuff and?
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It was changing
the
words
advisory
like-
council met and discussed it. I don't think they had any changes beyond what you
Yeah.
see here.
It was minor.
Okay.
I mean, well, you guys tell me, do you want to do, we'll have a larger press packet probably at the end of the year, correct?
I would think
Or-
one's coming, so if you want to get this
Yeah.
off our plates, we can get this into our press book. It'd probably be a good idea to approve it tonight.
Okay. I don't think there's really any other outstanding issues. If you wanted to take, do you need time to read it, or are you comfortable?
No, and given both your involvement, especially Ryan, you
I
would
just,
have.
I just read the changes.
Yeah,
and
but
they
you
were
would have
all
picked it up, your
word-based, yeah.
involvement with athletics and everything, you would have picked up anything that you.
No, it has nothing to do with
It's,
that.
yeah, it's not that.
It's changing certain words to fit today's understanding of how offenses happen.
It's in alignment with the federal law,
Right.
right? And the attorneys have reviewed it, so I think I
Yes.
think we're good moving forward.
Yep.
Would you mind?
The Board of
Thanks.
Education, Township High School District 208, Cook County, Illinois, approves Press Plus Policy, Issue 116, as presented in the October 22nd, 2024 Board Agenda Packet.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Durkin, and we do need that's all in favor. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Motion carries. Jumping ahead to the new business e-learning plan that you,
No questions were
No
submitted.
questions.
I don't think anybody asked any questions of Ms. Lindquist.
I think it was a thorough presentation. Oh, she stepped out as
I think
well.
she stepped out.
Yeah, but that was helpful to have all of her here for background this evening as well. Any concerns about moving forward here from anyone? Questions? Okay. Ryan, would you be so kind? Thank
The
you.
Board of Education, Township High School District 208, Cook County, Illinois, approves the renewal of the e-learning plan for the district as presented in the October 22nd, 2024 Board Agenda Packet.
Second.
Second from Ms. Locke, and that's an all in favor, it's not a roll call.
Correct.
Okay, all
No
in
money,
favor?
No money.
Aye.
Okay, aye. Any objection? Motion carries. Visitor statements, having none here for the second opportunity. Discussions requested. I think we talked about the IASB meeting coming up. Any consideration of items for future meetings from anyone? Looking to my right, looking across, looking left, seeing none. Matters for closed session. I think it's a short closed session. We do have some appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body, student discipline, individual student matters, purchase, sale, or lease of real property, probable imminent or pending litigation, collective negotiations, and school safety.
The Board of Education, Township High School District 208, Cook County, Illinois, enters closed session for the purpose of considering the closed session matters as presented in the October 22nd, 2024 Board Agenda Packet.
Second.
Second from Ms. Locke, and we do need a roll call.
Mr. Novak?
Yes.
Mr. Bellhorn?
Yes.
Mr. Durkin?
Yes.
Ms. Ruska?
Yes.
Ms. Locke?
Yes.
And Ms. Salas?
Yes. Okay, we are ready for closed session.